The fluorescent lights hummed quietly in the hospital's alien ward as Nurse Amy Peters started her usual night shift routine. It had been 5 years since Earth had made first contact with extraterrestrial civilizations, and 3 years since Central General Hospital had opened its specialized wing for non-human patients. The work was interesting, though usually quiet during the night hours. Tonight was different. At exactly 2:47 a.m., the emergency alert system blared through the corridors. Amy rushed to the intake area, her comfortable shoes squeaking against the polished floor. 2 paramedics, 1 human and 1 tall, blue-skinned alien wheeled in a gurney. The patient was completely covered by a standard-issue thermal blanket. "What's the situation?" Amy asked, falling into step beside them. The human paramedic, Tom, spoke first. "Found unconscious in a cargo ship that just docked. No identification yet. Vitals are stable but unusual, even for non-human standards." The alien paramedic, whose name tag read, Dr. B, added in their perfectly synthesized voice, "Temperature readings are inconsistent with any known species in the database. Trying to avoid exposure to regular atmosphere until we know more." They transferred the patient to room 412, the highest grade isolation unit in the ward. Amy began the standard intake procedure, setting up the multi-species vital monitor while Dr. B adjusted the room's environmental controls. The shape under the blanket remained perfectly still. "I need to check for external injuries," Amy announced, reaching for the edge of the thermal blanket. Both paramedics took an instinctive step back. "Careful," Tom warned. "The ship's crew was spooked. They wouldn't tell us why." Amy nodded, her training kicking in. She dealt with all sorts of alien anatomies before, patients with acidic blood, electromagnetic field generators for organs, even one species that existed partially in another dimension. Whatever was under that blanket, she would handle it professionally. Slowly, she lifted the edge of the blanket. The sight beneath it made her freeze. Where she expected to see skin, scales, or even crystalline structures, there was nothing. Not nothing as in empty space, but nothing as in a complete absence of light. It was as if someone had cut a hole in reality itself, shaped roughly like a humanoid form. The vital monitor began displaying readings that made no sense. The temperature gauge cycled rapidly between absolute zero and numbers too high to register. The radiation detector went haywire, then shut down completely. "Well," Amy said, keeping her voice steady despite her racing heart, "this is new." Dr. B's sensor arrays were whirring frantically. "Impossible. This entity appears to be a living void." The void creature stirred. A sound filled the room, not heard with ears but felt in the mind like the concept of static given form. Amy instinctively reached out, her nurse's training overriding her fear. To everyone's shock, including her own, her hand didn't disappear into the darkness. Instead, it met resistance, as if touching very cold, very smooth glass. The static sound changed pitch. The darkness rippled under Amy's hand. "I think," she said slowly, "it's responding to touch." Like it's in pain?" Tom checked his handheld scanner. "If those energy readings are anything to go by, you might be right. But how do we treat something that defies physics?" Amy thought for a moment, then reached for the cabinet where they kept the universal pain suppressant gel, a medical breakthrough that worked on 90% of known species by targeting pain receptors at a quantum level. "Let's start with the basics," she said firmly. "Every patient deserves care, even if they're a living paradox." As she applied the gel to the void being's surface, the static sound gradually shifted to something almost musical. The vital monitors began showing more stable readings, though they still made little sense to conventional medicine. "We need to contact the xenobiology department," Dr. B stated, already reaching for their communicator. "This could be first contact with an entirely new class of life form." Amy nodded, but her focus remained on her patient. The void being had stopped rippling, settling into what she hoped was a more comfortable state. She treated hundreds of alien patients, but this was different. This wasn't just about providing medical care, it was about proving that humanity could face the unknown with compassion instead of fear. "Welcome to Earth," she whispered to the void being. We'll figure this out together. The static sound hummed in what might have been agreement, and Amy smiled. Sometimes the simplest acts of kindness could bridge the greatest gaps, even ones that stretched across the very fabric of reality itself. Within an hour, room 412 had become the center of attention at Central General Hospital. Dr. Marcus Wright, head of xenobiology, stood at the observation window, his tablet filled with incomprehensible readings. Behind him, 3 alien specialists from different worlds argued in their native tongues, their translation devices struggling to keep up with their excited chatter. Amy remained inside with the void being, having refused to leave her patient. The pain suppressant gel had helped, but she knew they needed to establish better communication. The static sound had evolved, becoming more complex, almost like music played on instruments that didn't exist. The ship's crew finally sent over their incident report, Tom announced, entering the room in full protective gear. He handed Amy a tablet. They found it in cargo hold B, near some experimental quantum drive components. Amy scrolled through the report, her eyes widening. The components were completely drained of energy, but there was no damage. That's impossible? Tom finished. Add it to the growing list. The void being stirred at their voices. Its darkness seemed to ripple like water, and suddenly, the static sound changed. It began mimicking their speech patterns, not with words, but with variations in tone and frequency. It's learning, Amy realized. She turned to the being. Can you understand us? The void shifted, stretching upward slightly. The vital monitors showed spikes in several unknown energy readings. Then, to everyone's astonishment, words appeared in the darkness, not written or spoken, but somehow projected directly into their minds. Help. Lost. Pain. Dr. Wright burst into the room, his protective suit crinkling. Did everyone else just? Yes, Amy confirmed, her heart racing with excitement. Direct telepathic communication. But it's struggling. She moved closer to the void being. We want to help you. Can you tell us what happened? The darkness swirled, and more concepts flooded their minds. Ship. Break. Fall. Between. I think, Dr. Wright said slowly. It's saying its ship broke down, and it fell through something. Space between spaces, maybe? The void being pulsed in what seemed like agreement. Yes. Between. Home far. Amy's nursing instincts kicked in as she noticed the being's edges becoming less defined. Its energy readings are dropping. Whatever happened, it's getting weaker. Tom checked the ship's report again. The quantum drive components, maybe it was trying to feed on them. If it's from between spaces, it might need quantum energy to survive. Yes. Hungry. Need. Light, not light. Quantum energy. Dr. Wright muttered, already typing on his tablet. We might be able to rig something up in the particle physics lab. But the bureaucracy alone would take days to dash. It doesn't have days. Amy interrupted, watching the void being's edges fade further. This is an emergency medical situation. Under the Interstellar Medical Care Act, we have the authority to requisition any equipment needed to save a patient's life. The void being's darkness seemed to reach toward her. Help. Trust. Human healer. Dr. Wright looked between Amy and the void being, then nodded sharply. I'll make the calls. Tom, get us emergency transport clearance to the physics lab. And someone find Dr. B. Will need their expertise with the energy transfer protocols. As the others rushed to their tasks, Amy stayed with her patient. The void being's telepathic voice was growing weaker, afraid. Different. Alone. You're not alone. Amy assured it, placing her hand against its surface again. On Earth, we don't turn away those in need, no matter how different they are. Being different just means we have more to learn from each other. The void being's surface warmed slightly under her touch, and a feeling of gratitude washed over her mind. She smiled, knowing that even across the gulf of space and reality itself, some things were truly universal: the need for compassion, the fear of being alone, and the power of a simple touch to say, I'm here. Now they just had to keep their unusual patient alive long enough to find a way home. Moving a patient who existed partly outside normal space proved more challenging than anyone had anticipated. The hospital's anti-gravity stretcher malfunctioned as soon as the void being was placed on it, its systems overwhelmed by the strange physics at play. In the end, they had to wheel it on a specially modified gurney, surrounded by quantum field stabilizers borrowed from the physics lab. Energy levels dropping to critical, Dr. B announced as they rushed through the underground tunnel connecting the hospital to the research complex. Their sensor arrays spun frantically, trying to make sense of the readings. We have perhaps 20 minutes before complete molecular destabilization. The void being's telepathic voice flickered weakly in their minds, fading. Cold. Dark wrong. Stay with us, Amy urged, keeping pace beside the gurney. She'd refused to leave her patient, even after Dr. Wright warned her about the potential dangers of prolonged exposure to quantum irregularities. We're almost there. The physics lab was already prepared when they arrived, thanks to Tom's advance warning. Dr. Lisa Cooper, the lead quantum physicist, had transformed the main testing chamber into a makeshift medical bay. The massive quantum accelerator hummed ominously in the background, its coils glowing with contained energy. This is insane, Dr. Cooper muttered, adjusting controls on her console. We've never attempted to channel quantum energy directly into a living being before. The calculations alone. No choice, Dr. Wright interrupted. Our patient is losing cohesion. How soon can you begin? The void being's edges were now visibly dissolving, tiny motes of darkness floating away like smoke. The static sound had become erratic, broken. Help. Please. Dissolving. No. Dr. Cooper decided. Get it into the chamber. Dr. B, I'll need your help monitoring the energy flow. Nurse Peters. I'm staying, Amy said firmly. She looked at the void being, remembering its earlier response to human touch. It needs an anchor point, something familiar. I can provide that. Dr. Wright started to object, but Dr. B raised a hand. She's right. The patient shows marked stability improvements in her presence. That could be crucial. They carefully transferred the void being into the testing chamber. Amy stood beside it, one hand resting on its increasingly unstable surface. The chamber's door hissed shut, and Dr. Cooper's voice came through the speakers. Starting with 10% power. Dr. B, watch for any sign of rejection. The quantum accelerator's hum deepened. Streams of bluish energy began flowing through specially designed conduits, surrounding the void being in a web of light. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the being's telepathic voice screamed in their minds, wrong. Burns. Too much. Power surge! Dr. B shouted. The patient is absorbing energy faster than predicted. Systems are overloading. Amy felt the void being's surface growing hot under her hand, but she didn't let go. Adjust the frequency, she called out. Remember the ship's report, it was drawn to specific quantum drive components. There must be a resonance pattern. Dr. Cooper's fingers flew across her console, trying to match the quantum signature from the ship's components. But if we get this wrong... Trust her, Dr. Wright said suddenly. Nurse Peters has been right about this patient from the start. The energy streams shifted color, moving through the spectrum until they reached a deep, almost ultraviolet purple. The void being's mental voice suddenly calmed. Yes. Right. Like home. Energy absorption stabilizing, Dr. B reported. The patient's molecular cohesion is improving. Remarkable. The darkness of the void being began to deepen, its edges becoming crisp and defined once more. The static sound cleared, becoming that almost musical tone again. Through their mental link, Amy felt waves of relief and gratitude. Thank you? Healing. Remembering. Remembering? Amy asked gently. Yes. Remember now. Not accident. Sent. Message. Important. Everyone in the lab froze. Dr. Wright leaned toward the chamber's intercom. Are you saying you were sent here deliberately? With a message for Earth? The void being's surface rippled with purpose. Yes. Danger coming. Must warn. Must prepare. Amy looked up at the observation window, meeting Dr. Wright's concerned gaze. Their unusual patient had just become something much more significant, a messenger from between realities, carrying a warning they couldn't afford to ignore. As the quantum energy continued to stabilize the void being, the physics lab transformed into an impromptu first contact center. Government officials had been notified, but Dr. Wright convinced them to wait. The patient trusts our medical team, he argued. Let's not risk breaking that trust with bureaucracy. The void being's telepathic voice grew stronger, more coherent. Must show. Easier than tell. Show us what? Amy asked, still maintaining her position beside the being. The quantum chamber hummed softly around them, its energy field now a steady violet glow. Memories. Truth. Share thoughts. Dr. B's sensor's word. The patient's quantum field is expanding. It appears to be attempting to create a shared consciousness space. Is it safe? Dr. Cooper asked, her fingers hovering over the emergency shutdown controls. Amy felt the void being's surface pulse beneath her hand, and no harm. Promise. Trust bond. I'll do it, Amy said firmly. We've come this far together. Before anyone could object, the darkness seemed to expand, enveloping Amy in what felt like a warm, velvet embrace. The lab vanished, replaced by nothingness. But not empty nothingness, this was the space between spaces, teeming with impossible life. Amy saw creatures of pure energy, beings of crystallized time, entities that existed as mathematical equations given form. And among them, the void beings, guardians of the boundaries between realities. We watch, the voice explained. We protect. Keep balance. The vision shifted. Amy witnessed vast tears appearing in the fabric of reality, not natural portals like the void beings used, but violent, artificial ruptures. Through these wounds in space-time poured creatures that shouldn't exist in any reality, massive, geometric shapes that devoured energy itself, leaving dead zones in their wake. They come. Break walls. Eat light. Eat life. Eat reality. Who are they? Amy asked into the darkness. Where do they come from? Know who. Know where. They are anti-existence. Opposite of life. Made by mistake. The vision changed again. Amy saw other worlds, other civilizations, some far more advanced than Earth, falling to these entities. The geometric destroyers didn't conquer or invade in any traditional sense. They simply erased. Where they passed, they left behind spaces that weren't just dead, but that had never been alive in the first place. Many worlds gone. Never were. But Earth. Earth special. What's special about Earth? The darkness rippled with something like excitement. Humans adapt. Humans solve. Humans feel. More images flooded Amy's mind. Humans throughout history, facing challenges, improvising solutions, showing compassion to the unknown. She saw the hospital's alien ward, where humans treated beings they barely understood with care and respect. She saw the quantum lab, where human scientists bent the rules of reality itself to save a single life. Other worlds smart, strong, advanced. But rigid. Cannot change. Humans always change. Always grow. Needed now. How long do we have? Amy asked, feeling the weight of the knowledge pressing against her mind. 3 months. First signs soon. Tears and sky. Dead zones. Must prepare. The darkness began to recede, gently returning Amy to the lab. She found herself gripping the edge of the quantum chamber for support, her legs shaky. Dr. Wright caught her arm, helping her stay upright. Everyone saw that, right? She asked weakly. Nods around the room confirmed they had all shared the vision. Dr. Cooper was already pulling up astronomical data on her screens. Dr. B's sensor arrays were spinning so fast they became a blur. 3 months, Dr. Wright muttered. To prepare Earth for an invasion by reality-eating geometric entities. How do we even begin to? The same way we handle everything. Amy interrupted, straightening up. One step at a time. We adapt. We solve. We work together. She turned to the void being. And we're not alone in this, are we? No. Not alone. We'll help. We'll teach. Humanity must lead. Then let's get started, Amy said, her nursing instincts shifting into crisis management mode. First, we need to get our patient properly stabilized. Then we contact the right people, quietly. And then we save reality itself. Dr. Wright finished. Just another day at Central General, right? The void being's static sound took on an almost amused tone. Humans always joke in darkness. This why you win. The next 48 hours at Central General Hospital passed in a blur of activity. The quantum physics lab had been officially redesignated as a specialized medical research facility to avoid unwanted attention. Dr. Cooper's team worked around the clock, modifying their equipment to maintain a stable energy field for their void being patient, whom the staff had started calling Guardian. Amy found herself in a unique position. As the person with the strongest connection to Guardian, she became the primary liaison between humans and their interdimensional ally. She split her time between regular nursing duties maintaining their cover of normalcy and helping translate Guardian's complex quantum physics knowledge into terms the scientists could understand. Tears beginning, Guardian communicated during one of their sessions. Look! Dr. B's sensors detected at first a microscopic rupture in reality, no bigger than a pixel, floating in the corner of the lab. Through it, they could see nothing. Not darkness, not empty space, but true nothingness. That's what they come through? Dr. Wright asked, studying the tear from behind a containment field. Yes. Grow bigger. Faster. Soon more. Dr. Cooper was already analyzing the data. The quantum signature is unlike anything we've seen. It's like antimatter, but for reality itself. Guardian's surface rippled with approval. Yes. Understand fast. Good. We need to start mass production of these quantum field generators, Dr. Wright said, gesturing to the modified equipment keeping Guardian stable. If they can sustain a void being's quantum field, they might be able to stabilize areas affected by the tears. Not enough, Guardian warned. Need more. Need human thing. What human thing? Amy asked. Change. Adapt. Combine. Through their mental link, Guardian shared another vision, but this time, it was more like a blueprint. Amy saw quantum field generators merged with medical equipment, creating devices that could not just stabilize reality, but heal it. She saw void being energy working in harmony with human technology, creating something entirely new. Of course, Dr. Cooper breathed, excitement building in her voice. We're not just fighting against these entities, we're trying to heal reality itself. This isn't just a war, it's a medical crisis on a cosmic scale. Amy smiled, understanding dawning. That's why you came to a hospital instead of a military base or research facility. You weren't just looking for help, you were looking for healers. Yes. Soldiers fight. Scientists think. Healers save. The team worked with renewed purpose after that. Dr. Cooper and her physicists collaborated with medical device manufacturers, using Guardian's insights to develop what they called reality stabilization units. Dr. B reached out to their own people, arranging for quiet support from other alien civilizations who recognized the threat. But it was the hospital staff who provided the most surprising breakthrough. A young orderly, watching them work, suggested combining the quantum field technology with existing medical scanning equipment. If these tears are like wounds in reality, he reasoned, wouldn't we need something like an MRI to properly diagnose and treat them? Guardian's response was immediate and enthusiastic. Yes. Human thinking. Perfect thinking. Within days, they had a working prototype, a hybrid of medical imaging technology and quantum physics that could detect reality tears before they became visible. Early warning would be crucial for their defense plans. As Amy helped test the new equipment, she noticed Guardian's static sound had taken on a more urgent tone. Time short now. They feel us. Field preparation. Will come faster. How much time have we lost? Dr. Wright asked, tension evident in his voice. 2 months now. Not 3. They know we know. Amy squared her shoulders, facing her unusual patient and friend. Then we'll just have to work faster. Humanity has a pretty good track record when it comes to beating impossible deadlines. Guardian's surface rippled with what they'd all come to recognize as affection. Why we choose Earth. Never give up. Never stop. Never will. Amy promised, checking the readings on their latest prototype. Now, let's see about healing reality itself. The tear appeared directly above Central General Hospital, a crystalline fracture in the evening sky that grew from pinpoint to portal in less than 3 minutes. Guardian had warned them this would happen. The geometric entities were drawn to concentrations of quantum energy, and the hospital now housed the largest collection of reality stabilization units on Earth. All staff to emergency stations. Amy's voice rang through the hospital's comm system. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. In the converted physics lab, Guardian's surface churned with nervous energy. They come. Ready? As ready as we'll ever be. Dr. Wright replied, activating the hospital's new defense grid. Quantum field generators hummed to life, creating overlapping zones of stabilized reality around the building. Dr. Cooper's team manned their stations, monitoring the equipment that would turn the hospital into humanity's first line of defense against an impossible enemy. The first entity emerged from the tear, a massive dodecahedron of pure anti-existence, its edges cutting through the fabric of reality like scissors through paper. Where it passed, it left behind patches of nothingness, spaces where the world simply ceased to be. Now, Guardian commanded. Heal the sky. Amy activated the primary reality stabilization unit, a massive device that combined medical imaging technology with quantum field generation. The machine hummed to life, projecting a beam of violet energy toward the tear. On the monitoring screens, they could see the wound in reality being mapped like a medical scan, revealing its structure and weakness. Beginning treatment protocol, Dr. Cooper announced, her fingers flying over the controls. The beams shifted frequency, matching the quantum resonance Guardian had taught them. The edges of the tear began to shimmer, trying to knit themselves back together. The geometric entity responded immediately, turning its impossible angles toward the hospital. It began to advance, leaving cancellation in its wake. Second wave, now! Dr. Wright ordered. Teams of medical staff, trained for this moment, activated portable reality stabilization units from positions around the hospital grounds. Each unit was calibrated to a different frequency, creating a complex web of healing energy. The entity found itself trapped in a grid of overlapping fields, its power to erase reality contested by humanity's hybrid technology. Working, Guardian projected. But need more. Need human touch. Amy understood. Just as Guardian had responded to human contact in those first crucial moments, these tears in reality needed more than just technology to heal. They needed the human element, the capacity to adapt, to empathize, to heal. Everyone, she called out, adjust your units manually. Don't just follow the protocols, feel the response, adapt to it. Treat this like any other patient. The medical staff responded instinctively, their years of experience with difficult cases kicking in. They began fine-tuning their units based on feedback, adjusting frequencies and power levels like they would adjust medication dosages. The geometric entity's edges began to blur, its perfect mathematical form wavering. The tear is responding, Dr. Cooper shouted. The edges are starting to realign. Guardian's surface pulsed with excitement. Yes. Healing works. Reality wants to be whole. The entity made one last attempt to advance, but found itself caught in a web of healing energy, its very nature being counteracted by the combined power of void being knowledge and human medical expertise. With a sound like breaking glass played backward, it began to collapse in on itself. Keep the field steady, Dr. Wright ordered. Don't let up until dash. The entity vanished. The tear in the sky sealed itself with a ripple of violet light. For a moment, complete silence fell over the hospital grounds. Then Guardian's static sound filled their minds, carrying a tone of triumph. First test passed. Humans heal reality. Just as we hoped. Will they come back? Amy asked, already knowing the answer. Yes. Stronger. Larger tears. But we'll be ready, she finished. And we'll be stronger too. Every case teaches us something new, helps us develop better treatments. That's how medicine works. Guardian's surface rippled with what could only be described as pride. Why we chose Earth. Not strongest. Not most advanced. But always learning. Always healing. Always hope. As if to emphasize the point, the hospital's regular emergency alert sounded a reminder that even while saving reality itself, they still had their regular patients to care for. Back to work, everyone, Amy announced with a smile. After all, we took an oath to heal everyone who needs us, no matter what reality they're from.